What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video. So we are officially through 18 weeks. So that means we have reached the end of the regular season. We are now getting ready for the playoff push. We now know which 14 teams will be in that playoff push and which 18 will be going into off-season mode. With this past week going on, we had our last couple shakeups in the playoff picture. We had our last couple clinchers, and we had quite a bit going on. We had a pretty full Sunday. All but two were played on Sunday. So without further ado, for one more time this regular season, let's get into it. Starting off on Saturday, we had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking down the Carolina Panthers 16-14. And I think that it's pretty fitting that the de facto championship for the NFC South, the championship game, but not really, was played in a monsoon. It was pouring, and it made this game ugly and really hard to watch. And this game was also officiated horrifically in a one-sided manner. The backwards pass going quote-unquote out of bounds. Teteroa McMillan's quote OPI, Tremble's helmet getting yanked off with no call, the DPI on Cade Otton. It was just a complete joke, especially in that second half. As for Tampa, though we didn't know it at the time of their victory on Saturday, with the results on Sunday, their season is now over. It's a season where it can be looked at as an all-time collapse by the Buccaneers, and one that I personally think is worthy of costing Todd Bowles his job. It was just unbelievable in the wrong kind of ways for the way the Buccaneers ended this season. As for Carolina, I will acknowledge that yes, the officiating was horrific and it did cost them quite a bit, but the Panthers were awful. It's not the reason they lost. That flea flicker inside the 20 in the pouring rain when you're trailing but you're in the red zone, like Dave Canales, what are we doing, man? But however, with making the playoffs, I think overall this season can be viewed as a success and a building block for the future. Remember, this team won just 2 games 2 seasons ago, and they won, I believe, 5 last season. So albeit yet 8-9, not an incredible season, but making the playoffs, winning division, that is a success. You know, they're playing with house money in the playoffs, and I think this season can be viewed as a success for the Panthers. Then moving to our second game of the Saturday doubleheader, we had the Seattle Seahawks taking down the San Francisco 49ers 13-3, and this was a very playoff-style defensive grudge match. Points and yards were extremely hard to come by all night. As for Seattle, once again, they were not afraid to lean on that defense, and once again, like I said last week, I think anyone in their right mind would do the same as them. I mean, Sam Darnold in the offense did just enough. I'd argue that Kenneth Walker was the more valuable offensive piece in this game. He imposed his will, and the Seahawks now have a week off, and the NFC runs through their house, which I think any team would sign themselves up for. As for San Francisco, this game kind of alarms me a little bit, really for the first time all season, because the 49ers, again, for the first time all season, really looked like a shorthanded team, which was alarmingly similar to Detroit of last year by the time they got to the playoffs. The Niners lost out on a chance to run the entire playoffs, Super Bowl included, through their house, and now they have to go on the road, starting with a tough one in Philly. Then as we move to Sunday, we had the Atlanta Falcons taking down the New Orleans Saints 19-17 in the NFC South Championship game that won the NFC South for neither of these teams. I think that is a perfect sentence to define the 2025 NFC South. And again, with the Falcons win, the 3-way 8-9 tie gives the NFC South to the Carolina Panthers. So as mentioned before, this segment of the video isn't even about the two teams that played in this game. So Atlanta, good win. New Orleans, you know, Tyler Shuck looks great, but oh well, get him next year. Then as we move through the Sunday slate, we had the Houston Texans taking down the Indianapolis Colts 38-30. This is a very surprisingly high-octane game. There was a lot of points, which I really did not think would happen given the Texans' defense and the Colts starting a rookie at quarterback. However, the Texans did not get the improbable win they were banking on from the Tennessee Titans, so the division goes to Jacksonville, and the Texans get the 5 seed. As for Houston, I really think the one thing of note here is that the Houston defense got alarmingly carved up by Indy. I'm willing to let it slide a bit since, you know, there's no film on Riley Leonard, so it's entirely possible that that's just what was going on Sunday, but I'm not gonna, you know, completely discount it either and say that, you know, this is a complete fluke. They'll be fine. So is there a chance that this is a sign of things to come, that the Houston defense gets carved off in the playoffs? Sure, I won't deny that, but I'm saying it's unlikely, so I'm willing to let it slide for the Texans here. As for Indianapolis, the collapse is complete. They started 8-2, and the Colts finished below 500 at an 8-9 mark. But despite the loss, I think Riley Leonard looked comfortable. He looked very good, which throws potentially yet another wrench in this upcoming offseason's Daniel Jones saga and the decision-making that is going to have to be made in the Colts front office. Then moving to a just as packed late window, we had the Detroit Lions taking down the Chicago Bears 19-16. This is a game that flipped and went back and forth all day in kind of a bad way, I think. Really, neither of these teams wanted to win this game. As for Detroit, the Lions almost finally played a complete game, They just kind of stopped caring about early in the fourth quarter, but they did get it back together towards the end of the game and ended up gaining the win. So it's good for them to finish strong in what really was a very tough and very disappointing season for them. As for Chicago, it doesn't matter how much we go down by because we'll come back and win anyway mindset, it finally came back to bite them. The way I see it, it's really better this week though than next week, because obviously their season's still going on, as opposed to if this happens next week, they'll be done. So I'm saying that it's not a given that they'll adjust accordingly. It's completely up to them to, again, adjust accordingly to that. Then moving through the 4 o'clock window, we had the Denver Broncos taking down the LA Chargers 19-3, and it was ugly. This game was flat out ugly. But with the win, the Denver Broncos have locked up the 1 seed. As for Denver, like I said, it's an ugly win. It's simple as that. It was not pretty. It was not pretty to watch. I honestly can't tell if I blame the O-line or the receivers more. I can't tell which one of those two groups had a worse day. But really, the whole offense is to blame for how ugly and how difficult this game was. So hopefully the rest does them some good, because based on what I saw on Sunday, they could really need it. As for LA, I mean, hey, they played inspired despite resting their starters. But however, a 2-game skid is a 2-game skid, and a 2-game skid they're entering the playoffs with. So they are now the 7th seed and have a road date with the Patriots and are guaranteed to be on the road for the entirety of the playoffs. Then moving through the 4 o'clock window, we had the Washington Commanders taking down the Philadelphia Eagles 24-17. And this was a game in which neither team cared. Like, that's the best I've got for this, and that's all I could think about when I was watching this game. It's like neither of these teams truly care what is going on. As for Washington, good win to close it out. About all I've got for you. As for Philadelphia, Chicago came out flat in their game, so it's too bad your starters desperately needed a rest from their garbage play the last couple of weeks. So now, since you lost 2, you're the 3 seed instead of potentially the 2 seed. And coming off of that rest, they have a date with the San Francisco 49ers. And on Sunday night, to close out the 2025 regular season, we had the Pittsburgh Steelers taking down the Baltimore Ravens 26-24. Holy smokes, what an end to the season. Really, all the drama you could possibly want in a win or go home game, a de facto playoff game. As for Pittsburgh, the defense went through about 4 versions of itself that we've seen all season, really throughout this one game, and I'd argue that they got the win in spite of it. But Steelers bullshit is inevitable. You can hate Steelers bullshit, you can discredit Steelers bullshit, but you have to deal with Steelers bullshit. It will happen. It's guaranteed to happen every single game, every single week, every single year. It happens regardless of what you do. As for Baltimore, the season began with the Ravens meltdown on Sunday Night Football, and it ends with the Ravens meltdown on Sunday Night Football. I don't get how this fan base does it. It's such a unique brand of heartbreak that I can't fully grasp what it's like to deal with it on a year in and year out basis. So now that it's over, the overall consensus from this season is that this team is just way too talented to have been in this game in the first place, and their lackadaisical play early in the season and they're really not up to standard play early in the season has finally just come back to bite them because of the result of this entire season as a whole, and in this game and how this game ended, going to be an excruciatingly long off season for the Baltimore Ravens. And with that, the 2025 regular season has come to an end, which means we have our 14 teams gearing up for a potential Super Bowl run. So before we get into our wild card round preview, let's get one final look at the playoff picture. And this is not a preview anymore. This is the playoff picture. Starting off, the AFC, the number 1 seed with home field advantage and the very coveted first round bye is the Denver Broncos. The 2 seed is the New England Patriots. 3 seed is the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the 4 seed is the Pittsburgh Steelers. The 5 seed is the Houston Texans, the 6 seed is the Buffalo Bills, and the 7 seed is the LA Chargers. Over to the NFC, the 1 seed with the bye and home field advantage is the Seattle Seahawks. The 2 seed is the Chicago Bears, the 3 seed is the Philadelphia Eagles, and the 4 seed is the Carolina Panthers. The 5 seed is the Los Angeles Rams. The 6th seed is the San Francisco 49ers. The 7th seed is the Green Bay Packers. And let's look ahead to the wild card round. I made the analysis for this past week a little shorter because I wanted some time to go a little more in depth with these games and these previews, because obviously these are as big as they come. These are pretty, big games, I would say. So first up on Saturday is the 5 seed LA Rams traveling to Carolina to take on the 4 seeded Panthers. And I think the one thing that stuck out to me and stuck out to everyone is that the Panthers actually won this very same matchup in the regular season. However, the Panthers are coming into the playoffs on a 2-game losing streak despite winning the division in the final week of the season, while the Rams have been viewed as perennial contenders in the NFC for pretty much the majority of the season, even on a bit of a downturn and a bit of a skid themselves. I think the Rams offense is really going to be a handful for this Panthers defense, so if the Panthers can't keep up, they can't keep pace and put up points themselves. I really think this is going to be a long day for the Panthers. Then to close out Saturday, we've got the 7-seed Green Bay Packers traveling to Chicago to take on the 2-seed Bears. And the stars have aligned for a very highly anticipated round 3 between these two historic rivals. Their 2 games earlier in the season were fantastic, and I am so excited to watch a third round winner-take-all between these 2 rivals. I think if this game is anything like the first 2, we're going to be in for a really good one. Both are coming off pretty disappointing performances in Week 18, though the Bears may be a little more disappointing since they were actually playing their starters and were actually trying to win their game. While the Packers are coming into this game on a 4-game skid, which did include that heartbreaking loss in Week 16 to these same Bears on this same field. So I really think this one comes down to which one of the defenses can make 1 or 2 more clutch plays than the other defense, which the 2 have done all season long and have led their teams to a lot of wins because of it. Then moving to Sunday, our first matchup of the day is the 6-seed Bills traveling to Jacksonville to take on the 3-seed Jaguars. And in my opinion, this is the most intriguing matchup of the entire weekend. And I think specifically this white-hot Jags offense against this Bills defense. The Bills defense has struggled quite a bit. They've been very up and down as the season's gone along, specifically their run D. So I think it's going to be a priority for Liam Cohen and this Jags offense to get the run game going with Travis Etienne and get it going early. The goal is to establish the run, then also have a very balanced attack to attack this Buffalo defense all day long with the equally as hot Trevor Lawrence. With how good he's been down the stretch, I really don't see how the Jags offense can't do that. But on the other side, you have a just as lethal duo in Josh Allen and James Cook. What I really could see the Jags undoing being is just the fact that Buffalo has played in a lot of these games, a lot of these big games of this magnitude throughout the past 5 or 6 years, while the Jags they really haven't. That's just an objective fact. But whoever wins this game, I think we're in for a lot of points, and we're in for a very, very fun playoff game. Then moving through the Sunday slate, we've got the 6-seed 49ers traveling to the 3-seed Philadelphia Eagles. The 49ers are finally getting another crack in the playoffs at the Eagles after how disappointing and how much of a disaster the 2022 matchup in the NFC Championship was. The Niners had a chance to clinch home field in their house in the finale, but obviously didn't do so. That leads them to here and potentially gives them quite a bit of motivation to come out and try and beat the Eagles. I'll reiterate my concern here is that the Niners are shorthanded. They kind of looked like it this past week, and that has time and time again been a lot of teams undoing now that we've gotten to January football. As for the Eagles, they've been the most documented second half collapse this season, which seems like it's the second time in the past 3 seasons, and we all know how that went for them a couple years ago in their collapse in December and then that disaster in Tampa in the playoffs. I truly see this game going either way. I really think it's a coin toss for who's going to win this game. The weird thing about it, though, is that I think whoever wins this game is going to win by 2 or more touchdowns. That's just really how I think it's going to go. Then to close out Sunday, we've got the 7-seed Chargers traveling to New England to take on the Patriots. And the long-awaited return of playoff football to the house that Brady built brings an all-familiar opponent, and an opponent the Patriots have kind of owned in January the past 20 years or so. And it's a matchup where there's 2 established quarterbacks that are going to be looking for their first career playoff win. And I don't really think it's controversial to say that those demons, those playoff demons, might be a little bit bigger for Justin Herbert, seeing how his 2 playoff games have gone for him. And while I think the 2 quarterbacks are the headline, and rightfully so, the matchup I'm looking at are these 2 defenses that pride themselves in stopping the run, holding the other offense in check, and trying to take over the game. I'm really interested to see these 2 defenses match up. So because of that, I think this game is going to come down to which one of these 2 teams can make more explosive plays and which one of these quarterbacks can make more explosive plays. Then to close out wildcard weekend, we've got the 5-seeded Houston Texans traveling to Pittsburgh to take on the 4-seeded Steelers. And I think this is the hardest game to gauge of the entire weekend. I really could see either one of these teams winning this game. The Texans could win this game just because of their defense. Their dominant, game-changing defense that they've leaned on all season that has won them so many games this season. And one that is more than capable of making the Steelers' day a living hell and making the ball incredibly hard to move all day. For the Steelers, much like the Texans, it's what they've done all season. One with their experience, their veterans, and getting clutch plays from both their offense and their defense, the veterans on both sides. That's my best crack at trying to analyze Steelers bullshit, but there is a realistic chance that the Steelers just bullshit their way to a win yet again. Though, I will say that in years past, the bullshit has run out in the playoffs. The Steelers are seeking their first playoff win since 2016, the wild card game against the Dolphins, all that time ago. But back to it, if the Steelers do win this game, you and I both know that it will be because of their bullshit. But that is it for me. If you have any thoughts of your own on this past week, the week ahead, feel free to drop them in the comments. Any thoughts on what I said this past week, the week ahead, feel free to also drop them in the comments. If you like what we're seeing, feel free to like and subscribe. It's completely optional, but greatly appreciated. That is it for me. Enjoy round 1, the wild card round of the NFL playoffs. I'll see you in the next one.